Hi everybody, I'm Jen Phillips. A fan of South Plains politics, here's your talking points for this week. It's tax season. With your property taxes past their due date now of February 1st and your income taxes in a race to get that refund. A lot has changed in the past year. We're talking to experts today about what you can expect and why that refund may look a little smaller than it did in years past. And Texas legislators' committee appointments finalized this week. Our local lawmakers learning their roles for this session with interests all over the map.
From the studios of KAMC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points.
Thanks for joining us. Also this week, Governor Greg Abbott's office joining a push against race-conscious policies. Our local representative Carl Tepper appeared on this show last week to talk about legislation he penned to push back against diversity, equity, and inclusion criteria, both for hiring and in state-funded higher education institutions. Now we know more conservatives believe the same, that using DEI for hiring practices is illegal. And Governor Abbott also joining that charge this week. KAMC's Ryan Chandler talked with them about this mission to defund the programs in the state.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, we call it division, inequity, and indoctrination.
Lubbock Republican Carl Tepper pushing legislation that would ban Texas universities from funding diversity, equity, and inclusion offices, or any efforts to formulate diversity beyond what the Constitution requires.
It's purposely being misused to push a very woke, very liberal agenda. And by the way, that's fine, but not on the state dime.
Governor Abbott also targeting diversity efforts, his office warning state agencies that considering diversity, equity, and inclusion in the hiring process is illegal.
I think he needed to go back to law school.
Employment and civil rights attorneys argue these measures could contradict federal requirements.
You know, if you look at their guidance, they specifically say that DEI initiatives are best practices. This is only coming up because Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis want to, have a fight as to who can be the most anti-woke governor out there. And that doesn't mean it's good policy. It doesn't mean it's good for the state. It doesn't mean that it's good for taxpayers. It doesn't mean that it's good for business.
But Tepper's concerns are already changing policy. His alma mater, Texas Tech, announced on Wednesday it's reversing its DEI requirements, citing a report that some job candidates were judged on a required diversity statement. In Austin, I'm Ryan Chandler, KAMC News.
Well, it's officially tax season and a lot has changed since last year when it comes to your income taxes. First, let's look at our big picture here in Lubbock. This is 2021 census data, 2022 not available yet, but of course we're growing. We know that because we are up to about 4,000 more people from the year prior. More than half of Lubbock owns their own home, with a median monthly mortgage of just more than $1,500. The median household income in the hub city sits at $54,060. So those are the numbers. Let's talk to an expert now. There are a few changes to understand before you file your return, changes to the tax code and what you'll get back. So Deanna Zoga shows us what's new and steps you can take to avoid a delay on your refund.
This tax season, some of you may notice a change, a smaller refund compared to last year.
Every year there are changes. There's legislation that expires. There's new legislation that comes into play. The biggest thing, though, that we've experienced in the last few years is all the pandemic relief.
CPA Kedra Flowers explains extra COVID-19 related tax breaks like an enhanced child tax credit are expiring, and those credits are back to more typical levels. Another change this year, the IRS says it's hiring more people to address a backlog. To avoid delays in processing your return, the IRS says e-file if you can and use direct deposit to receive your refund. Also, check your return carefully.
If you make a mistake that's significant, or if you forget to claim income, it could stop your tax return from being processed, which would delay any refund until you get a letter in the mail and respond to it.
Make sure you have all your W-2s and tax documents before filing your tax return. If you have to amend it, that requires special processing and more time to get your money back.
Well, coming up, of course, it's Super Bowl busy season for our tax pros, but also for the Lubbock Central Appraisal District. Your property taxes were due last week. So you may turn in your check, wash your hands of that now, but these guys, they're rolling up their sleeves.